All right, welcome back. We are here with another episode of the BVSA Sports Show. We've got Joe Wonderling and Matt Diurno, and we are here to talk sports. What do we got this week, guys?
So this is episode 7, I believe. 2 weeks ago, episode 5, we were talking about our predictions of the big three. Judge, Verlander, DeGrom. I don't know if you guys have been following along those shorts that we have made, those little clips of those longer videos that we make. We each took turns nailing one right on the head. Matt, we'll start with your spot-on prediction. Your Yankees, Aaron Judge, 9 years, $360 million.
So I think, the Yankees knew. They were like, okay, we know our fan base. We know that if we let Judge go to another team just because they paid him more, we're never going to hear the end of it. So as soon as they saw that offer by San Fran, they had to match it. And you just got to assume that he's going to want to stay, and he did. So, obviously I'm happy. 9 years is a very long time for a 31-year-old. Like, I don't know if he's going to be that guy till 40, but obviously, if we get a good 5-6 years out of him, that'd be awesome. They were talking about they may make him the captain, too. Everyone's, speculating that it'll happen. I don't see why not. It probably would.
What does that even mean? Was Derek Jeter the only captain in Yankees history? A lot of baseball teams don't even have
No,
that.
So there was, I don't know who the one before that is, and I'm going to get killed for that. But, I think it's just a big thing for the Yankees. They don't really have one often because it's such a big thing for them. So I think that Judge would be the guy because he's got that same Derek Jeter kind of mindset. He just seems like a really good dude, honestly.
Yeah.
And he plays by all the right ways and everything. So yeah, so pretty happy with that.
They had to get him, and I believed that a team was going to make them overpay for him. I thought it was going to be the Mets or the Red Sox, more of a rival. The Giants went from the Yankees' original offer, I think, was 8 years, $300 million.
Yeah.
They made the Yankees pay an extra year, an extra $60 million. And I believe it was Buster Olney said the Yankees surrendered. They literally had no choice.
Yeah.
Zero choice.
Literally.
So they get their guy. The next one, which was my correct prediction and also my team, Justin Verlander, right? DeGrom fell first. We'll talk about him in a second, even though I don't really want to talk about him. Verlander gets his Max Scherzer contract.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, maybe I'm biased because it's my team, but I would rather that Verlander contract than the DeGrom contract, strictly because of the years and the health. So everyone, he's 40. I don't care if he is 62 years old. This man just won the Cy Young. His second, third, one. A few?
His third.
Might have been his third?
Definitely 2 at least.
Right? Just won a World Series. So the presence, the only thing that looks a little hairy is that apparently he doesn't have the best relationship with Max Scherzer. They'll get over it.
They'll figure it
and
out.
if nothing else, a little competitiveness for the NL Cy Young. But the Mets get their guy in Justin Verlander, and I think that fills any hole that Jacob DeGrom left.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I like the short deal too. It's definitely, I don't know, it just makes more sense. Even if you pay him a little more money for those 2 years, it's just better than getting 5 for a guy who can't stay healthy. It just makes more sense.
And the Rangers aren't in a win now mode. They have a pretty nice lineup, so a couple
But I
pieces,
don't
but they're
know
not going to
if-
make any
yeah.
real noise. I don't think this
I
year
don't
with
think
or
so.
without DeGrom. He can make 8 starts, 30 starts. I think they're on the cusp playoff team at
I
best,
agree. Yeah.
right? So those were our big three. A lot has fallen since those 3 kind of went down. Trey Turner, 11 years, $300 million, and then follow that with Bogarts and the Padres. Pretty much same contract, 11 years, $280, but they have Fernando Tatis.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing was, now with the question mark at Tatis, just because of the PED thing last year, and is he really focused on baseball like that? But I think he's a good enough athlete where they'll probably just throw him in the outfield, knowing that he's a pretty good bat. So they'll live with him in right field probably, just because you know how good Trey Turner is. He's good at every aspect of the game, literally.
Yeah.
So obviously it can't be a bad signing. I just don't understand it's interesting. I think I was just talking about Trey Turner and Bogarts on that team makes a lot of sense because they'll get the shortstop that's a good defensive guy, and obviously he's going to hit for, even if it's not what he hit for this year, which was 315.
Yep.
He'll hit for 280, 290 probably. So I think that helps them line up a lot. I think they get a guy that can just get on base all the time. Like they need that guy that can be on base to get them in with the Machados, the Sotos. So I think that team's pretty well set up.
Absolutely. So there's so many pieces left to fall. The biggest one I think that the Yankees are in play for is Rodon.
Yeah.
Are there any moves that you want to see the Yankees make, or are you content that this is the team they go into the season?
Obviously, I think I need to see something else. I think a starter makes sense. Also, just their bullpen getting healthy because it was kind of a mess last year.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you assume we lose Chad Green now. He had Tommy John last year, and it was the last year of his contract. So highly doubt they re-sign him coming off of that. So definitely more reliever sided, I would say. But obviously another starter can't hurt because we lost Tyone, obviously. And Tyone's solid. Like, he's not a bad guy to have as your fourth. So
Definitely not.
Health-wise, I mean, if we stay healthy, you can't really be mad at Cole, Nestor, Seb. You know what I mean? So, but if we get that nice fourth guy, I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think someone's going to really overpay for Rodon. I'm happy it's not going to be the Mets. They just signed another lefty. And I think it's going to be the Yankees. I think the Yankees will sign Rodon. I'm hoping the Mets get Senga, the big name Japanese starting pitcher. And then the last piece related to us is Brandon Nimmo. Talks about the Mets, talks about the Yankees. I think like the Rockies and White Sox, a couple of the teams. So those are the last three big pieces I think are going to fall for the New York teams before winter meetings come to an end. With that said, so we'll definitely have more updates, you know, as the winter meetings roll on and pieces start to fall. Let's get into football, in particular our fantasy football league, which is, we've been doing this a long time. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think either of us have ever seen standings like this heading into the last week of the regular season.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I've had some close ones at the end of the year, but this is literally like, there's so many teams that can still make it, and because it's what is it, 6 teams make it
Top
out of
6.
10, which is crazy. So getting almost half the league out just like based off, like, it's insane. It comes down to the last week, all these tiebreakers and situations, and if this guy wins, if this guy loses, it makes it interesting. That's the fun part.
Yeah.
End of the year.
So I purposely do that. I create this league and I say 6 out of 10 is just more interesting than 4 out of 10. So many different angles to this. The one clear-cut last place, we're going to call him winner, not loser. Our cameraman slash producer slash director, Anthony Conte, he will be on our calendar. That is set in stone. That is a done deal. Pictures to follow. Zach Rampin, who was in the race with Anthony pretty much the whole year. I'm pretty sure he started out 0-6.
Yeah.
He is 4-9 and has a shot of making the playoffs.
He does.
If he wins and 3 guys ahead of him lose, right, long shot, but he can make the playoff, which to me is the purpose of 6 out of 10. When you have 4 out of 10 that make the playoffs, and the guys are at the bottom, and there's no calendar looming, who starts to lose interest, who stops paying attention, who maybe drops a guy for you in the playoffs, who maybe makes a BS trade for you heading into the playoffs, right? So it makes it much more interesting. I'm one of those teams, those 3 teams that Zach needs to hurdle. I'm in a 3-way tie at 5-8. I have a chance that I can lose this week and be a 5-9 team in the playoffs. ESPN, that I'm learning more and more, isn't the greatest fantasy football site to use, but the way it works basically is that me, Verge, and Joey, 2 other coaches here, we are in a 3-way tie, and if it stays a 3-way tie, it goes by points for, which I'm the clear-cut winner. However, if one of them falls off and now it's a 2-way tie, I'm out because it goes by head-to-head record. So much chaos going on at the bottom, so much chaos going on at the top. 5 teams fighting for seeds 1 through 5. Top 2 get a bye. I think you're sitting in the 1 seed right now, 2 seed right now?
Yeah, so ESPN's kind of weird, where you look at like the projections and it'll show a different one than in the actual bracket. But in the actual bracket, yeah, it shows them still 1 seed. So right now I'm still sitting with a bye, thankfully. Ever since, by the way, we talked about that 9-1 record, I lost 3 straight since we talked about that on the show. Not really feeling that.
That was your first time on the show, right? I don't think you've won a
literally
fantasy
the
football
first time
matchup
I
since
have
you've been on
lost
the show.
every week since that show.
So I think another loss this week, okay, fine. If you lose in your first playoff matchup, whether that's with a bye or without a bye, I don't think you ever step foot on the show again.
It would hurt. It would be pretty bad.
That is so plenty to follow. We'll have updated standings, playoff matchups. You know, majority of us, except for I think 2. So 80% of this league, they're in the building. We'll make sure to maybe get them on the show. A little butting heads, maybe a little friendly wagers, see who's going where, and then we'll get those pictures and a date and time and where to purchase the Anthony Conti Bitcoin Socks featured calendar that I have never been more excited for in my entire life. You are the perfect winner.
The perfect.
Like the perfect winner. I don't care. Maybe like
I'm not sure to take that as a compliment or
it
not.
is a compliment because you're gonna own it. You're gonna love it deep down, and you're gonna do the best job that any of us can be. Everyone has a level of like awkwardness to us or whatever it is. You're gonna rock it.
Yeah,
I can't wait. All right, so last thing that we can get into a little bit, heading into week 14. My Commanders are on a bye. They had that beautiful
what a game.
tie that is still a thing for some reason in professional football, but they're going into a bye. Giants play the Eagles this week. Eagles should take care of business, which will set up a 7-5-1 versus a 7-5-1. Giants, Commanders, they got flexed the next Sunday, prime time, with essentially the playoffs on the line. Obviously, a lot can still happen, but with that said, I'm going to go against kind of what I need, and the Giants at home, plus, I think they're +8. I'm going to take that as my play for the week, home against the Eagles.
Ooh.
Little audible there.
Okay. Oh, man. It's hard to just going with that game specifically. The Eagles, they showed it the past 2 games, and I mentioned this, about being able to run and throw. They literally had a record-setting game, and they rushed for the most yards possible, lost my fantasy week because of that. And then the next week, they throw for over 350. Like, it's just so hard to stop that. Their D-line's starting to get a little healthier now, being able to stop the run and whatnot. So, I don't know. It might be tough for the Giants if they get down to a score or 2. Ant's going to be mad again, just like Thanksgiving. They're going to be running the ball and just taking up all the clock and not scoring and stuff. I mean, +8, I mean, depends. If the Giants get off to a good start, I could see it staying within like a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then, so, I'll pull up the schedule real quick. You can
Go ahead.
I'll look for mine.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think they are essentially a first-half team.
Mhm.
Not that they have to get out to a good start necessarily. They just can't fall 2-3 scores behind.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
then it's game over, like you said, like Ant knows very well. All right, they don't have that 2-minute offense, that 4-minute offense, that sense of urgency to push the ball downfield.
The 9-minute offense.
9-minute offense.
Jesus.
Whatever the case may be. While you're pulling up your schedule for this week, a little bit of there's already chaos in the NFC. I think the AFC is loaded. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, whether it's Super Bowl predictions, playoff predictions. So AFC aside, even though your boy Lamar Jackson went down and now Huntley's leading the charge for the time being, the NFC side, the Eagles are still showing signs of life and dominance. Everyone thinks the Vikings are frauds, right? They are underdog this week against the 5-7 Lions. The real interesting part for me is Jimmy Garoppolo just broke his ankle, foot. Broke something. He's done. I don't think Trey Lance is coming back anytime soon. They have Mr. Irrelevant, something Purdy. I'm blanking on his first name. That now becomes really interesting because they're a game ahead of the Seahawks, who are currently in the 7th seed. If the Niners fall a little bit, Seahawks can maybe now take a division. The Niners are now fighting with the Giants and the Commanders for playoff spots in the wild card. Tom Brady's still chilling in that 4 spot, winning that division after a comeback win against the Saints. And then no one's talking about the Cowboys that much. They just put up, 33 in the 4th and 54 in the game against the Colts?
They look insane right now.
So things change week to week, like we said. What we said a couple weeks ago maybe changed. I'm pretty sure I had the 49ers in my Super Bowl. That was before Jimmy G went down.
Yeah.
You almost have to go. Dallas looks like the best right now going into this week to come out of the NFC.
I don't disagree. Since Dak came back, so keep in mind, right, they had Cooper Rush for the first 5-6 games of the year, and they were winning games. Like, they only lost, I think, 1 or 2 games in that span, and one of them was the Eagles. So Dak comes back, and they've been averaging 37 points per game. That's, ridiculous.
It's unheard of.
No one's even above 30, I'm pretty sure I saw. So it's like, if you can't stop their offense, and their defense is that loaded where they have probably the best D-line in the league, Micah Parsons is a stud, and then secondary looks pretty good. They did lose a guy last week, rest of the year, I forgot his name. He's pretty good. But I think that team is definitely built to win. So I think when they play the Eagles, I think that is going to be a game to watch. That
Absolutely.
game will be ridiculous. I think that would just be back and forth. That might be one of the highest scoring games of the year. So then for my Underdog. I would probably go with. Ooh, I got a good one. I'm gonna go
I'm ready.
with the Jaguars over the Titans. And the reason why I'm gonna go with this is because Titans are this team every year where they have really good spurts. Like, they look really good. Everyone's like, oh, I love Mike Vrabel. Like, you know, big fan. Obviously, he's a Patriots guy. So, but they are so up and down as a team. And I think the Jags are just in this position now where they don't really have much to lose. So if Trevor Lawrence is playing, now keep that in mind because he's limited, I think, in practice. I think they'll be able to keep up offensively. Obviously, I think Derrick Henry will have a big game, but I think they'll be able to keep up. I think Etienne will get going, and then I think they can win that game. I actually do. Obviously, that can affect the Titans a lot if they lose that game.
Yep.
So I'm sure they'll be playing hard, but I don't know. I'm gonna go with the Jags, I think, for my underdog this week.
The one game that I might get, like, something might be thrown from above right now. I don't know if Frank's here and his Raiders, but that game tonight, Raiders at Rams, I don't know if Baker's playing or not.
Ugh.
And I'm not saying the Rams are winning this game. By no means am I saying the Rams are winning this game. But the Raiders were 2-7. They won 3 in a row. They are back in the playoff hunt. They have a window right here against something Wolford at quarterback for the Rams or Baker Mayfield. They're a 7-point favorite. And then they go home next week against New England, who's one of the teams they're chasing by a game or two. They just have a window to get right into the playoffs. And knowing that team, and Frank can definitely speak more on them than I can, I feel like they always find a way to mess it up.
Oh, yeah.
So
Sure.
just something to watch. That tonight should be a blowout. Tonight
It should
should be 31-10.
Yeah.
And instead, I think it's going to be 24-21. I don't know which way. I'm going to, again, for the sanity of nothing getting thrown at me right now, I'm going to go Raiders. But there's something weird about that team and this game, and it's LA, it's the Super Bowl champs. They are banged up top to bottom, starting with the 2 best players, Stafford and Cup, right? There's no reason why the Rams should be in this game tonight, but they're going to be in this game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it like, because you look at the Raiders and they have arguably the best running back right now in football, and then still the best receiver in my mind in Devontae Adams.
Yep.
So having those 2 players and still feeling like they can somehow keep this game close against a bunch of backups is crazy. But again, I almost look at it like the Rams, another team like the Jags, don't really have much to lose. So those guys might be playing to get a little contract next year or something and going to another team as a backup or something. So they may be playing harder than you think.
Yep.
And I mean, McVay's not just going to go out there and lose the game on purpose. Like, he's going to try his best. So I'm sure, I actually don't disagree with you. I think it's going to be a close one. And it might be, it's going to be an ugly game. I could just see it going like 2 turnovers each side in the first half, and it's like going to halftime like 10-7 or something nasty like that. But yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I think they'll win, but it's going to be like a sweated out, like last few minutes of the fourth, they might win it on a field goal or something.
Yeah, last 3 wins, this 3-game winning streak, all by 1 possession. 2 of them were in overtime. And I saw a stat yesterday that the worst record for a Super Bowl team the next year is 6-10. Rams are 3-9.
Oh yeah, they're killing that right now.
So again, I know they have no help and they're missing star power, but it's still Sean McVay, who's an offensive genius. I think they're gonna win a couple more games this year. Again, I'm not saying it's tonight. It's just they're going to compete, like you said, where the guys are playing for contracts. People are trying to play spoilers. Coaches are playing for jobs. There's still guys in the field. They're still going to compete, and it's still the Raiders. So it's going to be close. Yeah, it's going to be a close game. That's where I'm going to leave it. That's where I'm going to keep my mouth shut now, and that pretty much does it for us. Next time you see us, we'll have some fantasy football playoff matchups, maybe a calendar, maybe a little sneak peek, and that's all we got.